Your tower is under attack and it's up to you to defend it successfully. Choose your heroes wisely, place them in key locations around the map because once your choice is made, their fate is sealed. Whoever you do not choose will turn against you and try to destroy the tower. That's Tower Defense Heroes of the Wildlands, a print-and-play, roll-and-write, solo-only tower defense game that is now available on GameFound. I'll put the link in the description below. By the end of this video, you'll have all the information you need to decide whether this game is for you or not, but before we get into the review, let's first take a look at the gameplay. Keep in mind that what we'll show you here today is a prototype version of the game, so not everything is completely refined. To play the game, you'll need to print the deck of heroes, the map, the color compass, and the tower sheet. You'll also need a bunch of 6-sided dice of various colors. Tower Defense Heroes of the Wildlands is split into 3 phases that need to be performed in order. At the end of the third phase, if the tower is still standing, the player counts their points and calculates their final score. The game begins with the drafting phase. This phase lasts for 6 turns until 6 heroes have been chosen and placed as allies and the other 6 remain as enemies. During each of those turns, 2 heroes are randomly revealed from the deck and 6 dice are rolled. The values of the dice correspond to the different terrain types on the map. The color compass helps identify them during this phase. The player chooses one of the 2 heroes to keep as an ally and the remaining one automatically becomes an enemy. Once chosen, both these heroes need to be placed on the map. Allied heroes are stationary and do not move during the game. They just defend their location. Enemy heroes move towards the tower, attacking whoever they find in their path on the way there. The initial placement matters for the health of each hero. Ally heroes are placed on the hexagonal spots and enemy heroes start on the circular ones. Based on the number of matching terrain types on the surrounding locations of a hero to the ones rolled for the turn, a hero gains hit points. So you'd want to match as many as possible for your allies and as few as possible for your enemies. The written numbers on those locations and the colors of the dice will help keep track of all heroes during the game. Once this is done 6 times, the drafting phase ends. The second phase is the tower placement phase, and it works in a very similar way to the drafting phase. The 6 dice are rolled and the player picks a location on the map for their tower. The only restriction is that it needs to be next to a road. As before, matching the terrain types gives the tower health. The health of the tower is not only used to count the damage it can sustain, but it doubles down as attack and range for the tower, and it can be split in any way the player wants. The third phase is the actual gameplay. During each turn in this phase, the player rolls 3 dice. Each of those dice are used in a different way, and the player gets to choose which one does what. The first one is for the tower. It corresponds to a polyomino piece that will be placed in the tower. Completing rows within the tower grants benefits. Once certain thresholds get crossed, the enemies become stronger, and if the top square gets filled, the game's end is triggered. Because of that, the number of turns in this phase varies based on the player's choices. The second die is used to choose an enemy hero, and the third die is used to increase that enemy's health by the corresponding value. If 3 dice of the same value touch in this area, the tower gains health. This process is done during each turn in this phase. After the dice have been assigned and resolved, the enemies start moving on the map. They always follow the shortest path towards the tower, and they move according to their speed. Once all enemies have been moved, all heroes simultaneously perform their attacks. Check the range and attack value, keep in mind any special abilities they may have, and resolve the attacks. If a hero drops to 0 health, they are removed from the game. Allied heroes have no way to come back to life, but enemy heroes may come back through the process I just described with the 3 dice. In that case, they start over from their initial location. The player keeps taking turns like that until the turn during which the final square of the tower gets filled. If at the end of that turn the tower is still standing, the player calculates their score. Remaining allies on the map, unused benefits, and the tower's final values give positive points. Enemies on the map and empty squares in the tower give negative points. The total is the player's final score. So we've played Tower Defense Heroes of the Wildlands quite a few times now, and what really stands out is the focus on replayability and variety. It is a bit your own score kind of game, so there is always something more to accomplish. It also has different difficulty settings though, so instead of just increasing your own score, you can always increase the difficulty instead. In any case, there is always a new goal to accomplish. Of course, it's not just that. While we didn't get an opportunity to test more maps, we know that the game will include more of them, And there is a plan for spell cards that will definitely increase the variety of what each hero can do. The different heroes, of course, add on top of that, and since the selection is always done through the drafting, which includes dice rolls, there is no way you can end up with the same setup more than once. And since I mentioned the drafting, let's elaborate a bit more on that. First of all, the drafting phase is part of the game. The initial choice and placement of the heroes is crucial for the final outcome of each game. If you think about it, since the abilities and the stats of each hero are fixed, once the movement and the combat begins, there is no real way to control the outcome of the game anymore. The dice rolled during this phase don't have nearly the impact that the drafting phase does. The fact that the hero you don't choose immediately becomes an enemy is also a very interesting twist. There are so many things to keep in mind during each of those 6 turns of the drafting phase that it feels like a minigame before the game, and it's a very fun one. It's also tricky because the tower is placed in the next phase. It's inevitable that when you choose and place allies and enemies, you will think of the placement of the tower and how you can properly protect it. If the dice disagree, though, you may have to place it elsewhere or make peace with the fact that it won't have as much health as you had hoped for the beginning of the game. Planning for contingencies is crucial. Obviously, with these 2 phases having such an impact and being part of the gameplay, the actual setup of the game is non-existent. You just need to shuffle the deck of heroes and you're good to go. It is a game that can be easily brought out for a quick session at any time. The duration of the game can vary based on the difficulty and the speed of the decision making, but in any case we felt that the 30 to 60 minutes suggested time felt quite accurate. Our only criticism for the game would be that it feels fiddly, especially during the first few plays. It's quite hard to keep track of everything, to match the dice to the heroes, to remember the special abilities, or even the boost the enemies get after certain thresholds are crossed. The system works, but it takes a while to get used to it. Of course, you also need to be very careful not to move anything by accident, because it's almost impossible to remember where everything was at all times. After a few plays, it's much easier to find all the information you need faster, so that's good. Finally, keep in mind that you'll need a lot of dice and in various colors. We are D&D players and we happen to have 1 million dice in this house, but it still was tricky to find matching colors. We imagine it will be much harder for others. It's probably easy to find and get some specifically for this reason, but it's definitely something that took us by surprise. In any case, we hope this information was enough to decide whether this game is for you or not, and if it seems interesting, you can find it on GameFound. If you found this video useful, leave a thumbs up and subscribe for more videos like this. I hope to see you on the next one. Until then, bye.